Hello, my name is Justin. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel that's going to be devoted almost entirely to decoding and exposing modern day social justice activism, particularly feminist activism. Now, if you're from America or if you're currently living here, there's a good chance that you're starting to take notice of how strange things are getting in our society. Everything is changing. Our culture is changing. Our social fabric, as it has existed for thousands of years, is changing. Our institutions are changing. Everything across the board is changing. You may have also noticed that certain things are now being heavily promoted and normalized in our culture today, such as homosexuality, or transgenderism, or feminism, or antinatalism, or climate activism, or all things New Age and occult, etc., etc. It's a long laundry list of stuff. Likewise, you may have noticed that certain demographics are being elevated in this country. For example, you may have noticed that there seems to be a widespread initiative to promote women into leadership roles across the board, whether it be in the workplace or in the political realm or wherever else. You may have also noticed that women themselves are a lot different today than they were just 10 years ago, and they've undergone a radical transformation here in the past couple of years. Their behavior has changed and their priorities have changed. On the behavioral front, they seem to be occupied with emulating masculinity and masculine mannerisms. On the priority front, where they used to be concerned with being a homemaker or raising a family or romance, they are now primarily concerned with climbing the corporate ladder, building businesses, becoming CEOs, or gaining political office, and things like that. Pretty much anything that has traditionally been regarded as being part of the masculine domain. Likewise, you may have noticed that certain demographics of people in this country are being viciously attacked and discriminated against. Bigotry and prejudice against these groups is being normalized and encouraged in our society, while behind the scenes they're being discriminated against in the workplace and elsewhere. Sometimes this is happening in secret, and just as often is happening as part of an official policy. Now, all of these changes that are taking place in our society are not accidental. These are coordinated, planned changes, sometimes being planned decades in advance. And it's these changes that we're going to be detailing on this channel, and there's a lot of them. We're going to detail what these changes are, why they're coming about. We're going to detail who's behind these changes. We're going to detail what the outcome is meant to be in bringing these changes about. And we're going to detail the internal workings and inner mechanisms of the changes themselves. And we're going to be here for a while doing this because we got a lot of material to cover. This is a really complicated issue, a lot more complicated than most people would be inclined to suspect. On our journey, we're going to explore organizations like the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, organizations who, believe it or not, are behind most of the social changes that you see taking place in American society today. We're also going to explore concepts like feminist theory, critical race theory, queer theory, all of those things. All of these ideologies are driving these social changes that we see taking place in our society today. And all of these ideologies are very closely interrelated. For all intents and purposes, they could technically be considered all parts of one whole, which is how we're going to regard them on this channel. We're also going to detail the history of the women's movement, the hidden history, the history that you're not taught in school, dating all the way back to the suffrage movement. We're going to delve into a little bit of behavioral psychology, and we're going to analyze its implementation in social justice activism. A lot of behavioral psychology precepts and methodologies are being integrated into strategies to bring about social change, and we're going to detail what all that stuff is. Some people call it social engineering, some people call it conditioning. Regardless of what you call it, it's all the same thing, and we're going to cover it on this channel. And finally, as much as I'd like to skip over this last one, we are going to delve into the occult, because there's no way to explore the women's movement without delving into the occult. And you'll see what I mean when we get there. Now, the reason I'm starting this channel is more or less to supplement my writings on these subjects. I've been writing on these issues for about 7 years, And I'd like to present this information in a way that is more easily accessible to the public. And there's no better way to do that than to put it in a video format and upload it onto a video hosting platform. But I also think that these are really important issues. Some of you who are watching this might be wondering why I would devote an entire channel to talking about social justice activism. After all, there's a lot more important things happening in our world today, right? Well, not really. There is, but here's the thing. A lot of this stuff, this social justice activism, is a linchpin for all the other things you see happening today. And we're going to explain why that is as time goes on. There are certain demographics in our society today who would rather these things be swept up under the rug forever. There are certain demographics in our society who have benefited very greatly from these social changes that have been forced upon our nation over the past 10 years. And a lot of these people are worried about their reputations and their legacies being tarnished, or even that of their kids. Now, I'm not here to curate or cultivate any animosity towards any group of people, but I am here to expose what has happened in our country over the past 10 years on this front. Finally, I am a Christian, and a lot of my findings and opinions on this channel will be presented within the context of a Christian perspective. Now, if that's not your cup of tea, then this whole channel might not be your cup of tea. Nevertheless, I do hope you'll stick around, regardless of your political affiliation. I think everybody who visits this channel will stand to gain something, or stand to learn something. Now, I'm going to try to upload fairly regularly. I do work a lot of hours, but I'm going to try to upload about a video a week. And if that sounds like something that might interest you, I encourage you to subscribe. Until next time.